Hello, today is July 3rd, 2026. It is just before 10 p.m. The fireworks are going up right now. We've already had a few come off, or a few pop off over here in my neighborhood. And I had a pretty decent day today. I do struggle with a bit of anxiety here and there, and today was kind of a bad day for me in that regard, but I played some pretty wonderful games today, and I had, gaming's always just a good time. It's a good way to, a lot of walking and a lot of gaming is is what I usually do on days like this. That said, the big thing that I did today is I spent a lot of time playing the new Guilty Gear update, and specifically, I've been playing Robo-Ky, and as you can see there, I'm actually doing pretty decently. Or decently for where I'm at, to be frank. I was I think Diamond 1, maybe Diamond 2 Giovanna. The last time that I really spent a long time playing was right when the ranked update came out, right when the ranked mode came out. And as a Giovanna main, I spent a lot of time getting to Diamond, relearning the game, and especially after Wild Assault left, because frankly, Wild Assault is the maybe my least favorite thing to ever come out of Guilty Gear, but Guilty Gear is a very special game to me. It's the first game that I've ever won a local in. It's the first game, it's like the first fighting game that I really devoted hundreds of hours to and just really loved. It's a very, I think there's a lot to love in Guilty Gear, and there's a lot of personality, and I think Robo-Ky, in many ways, feels like a very playful version of Guilty Gear. Not that Guilty Gear isn't playful. I think Guilty Gear's playfulness, Strive's playfulness, is a very large reason why it's done so well. I think, you have these characters like Faust, and you have these characters, even a character like Soul, right? Or Kai, you have these, every character really feels larger than life, and even to the point where a character like Bridget, whose whole point kind of is that she's not larger than life, she's just kind of living, or Testament, same thing, right? They have very grand, there's poetry in the characters and poetry in how they're made. And Robo-Ky is such a funny, goofy, that, I can't believe I got that confirmed right there. I actually had no clue that would work. It was pure off the cuff. But Robo-Ky feels like just more of that. He's funny, he has a cool set of combos that are actually not too complicated. I am not very good at learning characters. I take a long time and a lot of VODs. I watch a lot of people. I think I lose this round. Yeah, I'm dead. Oh, I win this round. That's crazy. They dropped the combo. Alright, I'll take it. But even this super, right? He's just a ton of fun. But no, I'm not very good at figuring out characters, actually, or systems. I'm a very slow learner when it comes to that kind of thing. So whenever a new character comes out, if they're not really easy, then I usually have a hard time, which is how I know that Robo-Ky is pretty dang easy, because I'm doing decently well. I got placed into Gold 3 with him. And to be clear, I haven't played Guilty Gear since Gen came out, so, and I'm also playing on controller, so there's my excuses, by the way, just, my excuses for all the people who care about how good I actually am. No, I've been really enjoying it, and he's felt like he's clicked a lot more easily than a lot of characters, and I don't know if that's a sign of growth on my end, or a sign of growth on, or at least, or a sign of growth, or just a sign of how kind of simple his game plan is. He's very well rounded. He has good range on his slash. He has a good sweep, a great sweep, it looks like, actually, especially because it seems like that sweep can just go into a guard crush 50-50. I think that's dependent on his electric gauge, but I'm not sure. But the electric gauge is also surprisingly easy to manage, I think. I really wasn't I was worried when I saw that he had a gauge, that I was like, uh-oh, he might be too much for me. Again, I'm really not so good at this kind of thing. But I found the gauge not too hard to manage, because it felt like a lot of his combos, the mat, and everything was just really, simple, and it's really easy to understand. And then his rockets, his 236 slash is very the reward's very obvious whenever you have the electric meter. You know, things like his 214H, or I'm sorry, 236H, the little horse. He has like kind of baked in mix-ups that are not too hard to understand. I just kind of saw one person do it, and I was like, oh, can I do that? And little did I, you know, yeah, I could. It's felt pretty good, I think, to have a character with such personality. Another banger soundtrack or song from Naoki and Daisuke. That felt pretty approachable. I think that Guilty Gear has gotten better at that over time, having these cool characters that have complexity, and they do feel like there's stuff to dig into, but they don't feel quite so overwhelming, except for like an Asuka or something like that, right? So yeah, that's what I spent the first half of my day doing, really. That, eating tacos, and exercising. Actually, I did a lot of exercise today. And by a lot of exercise, I mean we have like a walk pad that is like, you know, on an incline, and I walked at a relatively high speed, and I walked about 2 miles today on an incline. And that's a good way for me to kind of get my anxiety under control, get my, you know, my body under control. Everything starts, I feel a lot better whenever I do it. And so I did it twice today, because today was kind of a tough day mentally. So it was very rewarding to be able to do that and feel better. Something else that I did was I played through some more of Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition. Bit of a mouthful, but no, Nintendo just released the definitive edition for those games, or for Xenoblade 1, with 2 coming in about a month, and 3 coming in like 5 months. But no, I'm actually a pretty big fan of the Xenoblade series. Xenoblade 1, or I played Xenoblade 2 on the Nintendo Switch when it first came out. I couldn't really get into it the first time. This is all a story for another time. I eventually got into it and had a good time with it. There are some rough parts to that game. There are parts of that game that I don't necessarily like, but I overall had a really good time with it. And it was one of the first JRPGs that I really started in the post game to be like, oh wait, I can go do these crazy super bosses, and here's how you can kind of exploit these mechanics, or not even exploit, but like here's how you can build these units. One of the first JRPGs that I was really able to mechanically kind of sink my teeth into, other than like Pokemon, like a more classic or traditional JRPG. And then I played through 1. I thought 1 was great, and 3, Xenoblade Chronicles 3, is one of my all-time favorites. I really do love that game. And so when the Switch 2 actually came out, that's why I bought one. And I'm on the record with coworkers and friends saying that I'm getting a Switch 2 day one, in part just because being able to play Xenoblade at 4K 60 would be such a dream to me, because those games are so beautiful, but they run so middling, and the resolution is just so middling. And so when they finally announced that all 3 are getting these ports with extra content too, and quality of life and all of these things, I bought it same day, and I've just now finished my playthrough of Xenoblade Chronicles 1 Definitive Edition. I'll probably go through and do the extra content, the Future Connected, because I actually didn't play that the first time around, because I'll say it, as much as I love Xenoblade Chronicles 1, it's actually not my favorite game from a mechanical standpoint. It's fun, don't get me wrong, I have a good time, I have nothing against it. And if people who do like the gameplay, I see why you like it. There's a lot to love there, but for me personally, it's more of a game that I enjoy for the first, 30 to 40 hours, and then in the last 10, as I get close to that end, I'm like, all right, I think I've had my fill. It feels like just the perfect meal. I don't need to spend too much more time on it. I have more thoughts on it. I might actually tomorrow do a little Xenoblade Chronicles. I don't know if it's my thoughts on it, because I really do have a lot of opinions. But as opinions, my opinions are more actually just about the pacing of things and how we handle things in our lives, and being more willing to take time. Xenoblade's a very long game, a very tedious game in many ways, and I think that the time we spend doing the kind of it's the little things, right? The time you spend doing the boring things, I think, is a big part of what makes life interesting and adds flavor to the world around us. And that, I think, Xenoblade personifies very well. Something else I think it personifies very well is the, you know, it really feels like a classic JRPG. And I say that as somebody who has not really played a lot of classic JRPGs. It's kind of funny. I don't really know wow, what a crazy 236S that was. I don't know why I got on that horse. But, you know, there's a lot of JRPGs, and I've played many more since then, but I haven't played a lot of the classic ones. But, like, I have Final Fantasy VII, Chrono Trigger, Dragon Quest. Like, I haven't played a ton of the more retro ones or more, quote-unquote, legendary ones, right? Suikoden and all those things. But, they all seem to culminate in killing God, and that's, Xenoblade is, like, the most, like, yes, we started in a small town, we end by killing God. It's one of those games that kind of personifies that JRPG trope. But I think it does it in such a beautiful way. I really find the ending of Xenoblade to be pretty inspiring. And I'm not going to get into I don't want to get into the spoilers. But I think that it's one of those games that really makes you look forward to the future. And for a guy like me, who has deep anxiety and constantly fears the future, not even just like what comes tomorrow, but like what comes later tonight, the kind of guy who, you know, just kind of gets nervous in the moment regularly. It's a very welcome kind of message and theme that, like, yeah, we can just wait. You know, we can be excited about not knowing what's going to happen next. We don't have to assume the worst. And in fact, we can even assume that we're enough and that it's okay to have confidence in the future, and it's okay to, or it's good to have confidence, and it's good to seize your destiny in that way. It's a bit corny, but I really do think that it's in, you know, anything that happens with that soundtrack playing sounds good, because that soundtrack's just beautiful. Yoko Shimomura did it again. But that's really just about all I did today. I didn't do too much. And I'm sure I'll feel pretty good tomorrow. It felt nice to finish Xenoblade, and it felt nice to play Robo-Ky, and my only regret is that I don't have the Avatar game. I could not play the beta, but I just don't see a reason to spend $30 on a game that I'm realistically going to play for like 3 days, and then Marvel Tokon will come out, and I will play Marvel Tokon, because frankly that game seems more up my alley. Not a huge fan of Avatar the show. I think it's good. That's like my hottest take, is that I think Avatar The Last Airbender is good. I don't think it's great. Or at least I should say I do think it's great, but it did not resonate with me very strongly. So I don't have any strong feelings about Avatar The Last Airbender. And with that in mind, I don't really love the animation. I don't love the art style of the new Avatar fighting game. But it does look rad as hell. I will say the gameplay seems really interesting. But, you know, when you feast as hard as I do with Guilty Gear 2XKO, and soon Marvel Tokon, and even Street Fighter, right? It's difficult to make room for $30 of just a, you know, a small, what will be a small part of the buffet later. Anyway, that's today's check-in. If you tuned in, thank you. If you didn't, then that's fine. Once again, these are more for me than for anyone else, but I really am a big fan of Kai, and I'm really a big fan, or Robo-Ky, and I'm a big fan of Xenoblade Chronicles, and I'm a big fan of Guilty Gear, and I'm a big fan of all sorts of things. And that was my day. I'll see you later.